What is up, sexy beast? Bald Medium Fries here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Marshall 16s and comparing it to the 9mm SAP from Call of Duty World War II Zombies and seeing which is the better weapon to have. So let's go ahead and get this shit started. So real quick, before we actually get to the comparisons and all the other fun stuff, I'm going to let you guys watch and listen to each of these weapons, just that way you guys can get a feel for them and actually decide for yourself which one you think looks and sounds better. So here you go. So these two weapons are very similar, but also very different. The Marshall 16s are actually going to be dual wield, both unupgraded and upgraded, and even unupgraded, it's still going to shoot shotgun shells, while the 9mm SAP may not be dual wielded. You can actually throw on the akimbo attachment in the menu selection, or you can actually throw on a bunch of other attachments, but if you want to have other attachments on there, you can't actually have it dual wield. Me personally, I think the dual wield attachment is the best. And another thing about the 9mm SAP, it doesn't actually shoot shotgun shells unupgraded. I'm gonna go ahead and assume it shoots 9mm unupgraded, but once you actually do upgrade it to the Grey Ghost, that's when it actually starts shooting shotgun shells or more bullets are coming out. I'm not really sure which angle they're going with, but I'm assuming they want it to be very similar to the dual wield Marshalls. So now before we actually do get onto these comparisons, let's go and talk about these guns in real life. So the dual wield Marshalls are basically coming off of the Executioner, and the Executioner was basically based off of the Taurus Judge, I believe that's actually how you pronounce it. This weapon does have its origins back in Brazil and was actually produced in 2006. Now this weapon was actually advertised as a self-defense gun, and it did a pretty damn decent job. It was not actually named the Judge, but actually acquired the name because the people that made it actually found out that a lot of judges in high crime rate areas were actually purchasing these and actually using them for self-defense. And since all these people are actually buying the weapon, they actually decided to give it the name the Judge. Now in real life, the Judge is a 5-shot revolver and can actually be chambered in a lot of different things. You can use .454 Castle, I believe that's how you pronounce it, 45 Colt, 4010 board shell shotgun shells, and also 45 Smith & Wesson, so you actually have a bunch of different options. And one really interesting thing about this is it's actually considered a pistol unless you're in California, because California is like fucking weird and really just stupid when it comes to guns. So in California, it's actually considered a short-barreled shotgun. And since it is a short-barreled shotgun, it is illegal to have in California. So if you live in California and you are wanting to acquire one of these, that fucking sucks, because you can't. Now if we go over to the 9mm SAP, I'm pretty sure this weapon was actually based off the Walther P38, and if you played really any World War II video game, this weapon might seem familiar to you. This weapon was actually also in World War. Now the Walther P38 was actually accepted into the military in 1938, but production did not begin until a year later in 1939. And then the year after that, that's actually when mass production actually began. Now the Walther P38 was actually originally introduced to replace the Luger P08, and was actually going to be made the service pistol of the Wehrmacht. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry, I don't really read well or pronounce things well. And a really cool fact about the Walther P38 was there's a lot of different things that this thing was actually chambered in. There was the 45 ACP, the 38 Super, the 9mm, the 7.62 by 21mm, and the 22 long rifle. So there actually was a lot of different versions made and actually sold. And this weapon was actually pretty innovative at the time because it did eventually go on to influence such guns like the Beretta, which eventually made its way into the US military. Alright, so now that you got a little bit of history about both of these guns, let's actually get on to the tests themselves. So unupgraded wise, the tests were pretty hard to kind of determine how I wanted to do it, because with the dual wield Marshalls, you got one shot and then you reload. While with the 9mm SAP, you actually have 8 shots and then you can reload. So there really isn't a way to test fire rate, like at all. And even though the dual wield Marshalls actually say 2 and 2, it actually takes up 2 bullets per shot, so really with the dual wield Marshalls, you actually only have 1 shot. So I guess really the only thing we can take a look at is going to be like accuracy and actually reload speed. And when it comes to accuracy, I'm definitely going to give this one to the dual wield Marshalls. I would say since you're shooting shotgun shells, you're going to be pretty accurate. You get a nice big spread. While with the 9mm SAP, you're just shooting regular old bullets, so you're going to have a lot of recoil. You're kind of going to go up and to the right. So when it comes to overall accuracy, I think the winner is definitely going to be the dual wield Marshalls. And when it actually comes to reload speed, this is going to be pretty interesting. They're going to be almost the exact same. I honestly think that depending on how fast you can pull that trigger and get back to shooting, you could probably make these things about even. Now in the footage that I am showing you, the dual wield Marshalls actually did get back to shooting a little bit faster, but really I think that might have just been human error because these weapons are semi-automatic, so you constantly have to be pulling that trigger in order to get these things to shoot as fast as you can. So I think if you do time things just right, you can probably make these things have literally the exact same reload speed. Alright, so now we have both those two kind of pointless tests over with. Let's go and take a look at the upgraded versions. Once you actually upgrade the Dual Wield Marshal 16s, you're going to get the Perun and Velis. I believe that's how you pronounce it. It's probably not. And once you actually upgrade the 9mm SAP, you're going to get the Grey Ghost. And like I said previously, once you actually do upgrade this weapon, it does become a pistol shotgun, similar to the Dual Wield Marshals. And since the Marshal 16s can actually get off a couple shots before reloading, I actually could test out the fire rate. I line up both these weapons side by side and start shooting at the exact same time. I had to lower down the Grey Ghost down to 3 because that's how many shots the Dual Wield Marshals are actually going to get off. And when it comes to overall fire rate, the Grey Ghost or the 9mm SAP is by far going to be a lot faster. I feel like if they both carried the same amount, like 10 shots each, you would notice the difference a lot more, but since I can only use 3 shots, you can't really notice the difference. But trust me, I went frame by frame, and you can only fire the Dual Wield Marshals so fast. It actually does have a fire rate limit, while with the 9mm SAP, I don't think it does. So next up, let's go ahead and take a look at the accuracy. And when it comes to overall accuracy, these weapons are kind of a little bit different. The Dual Wield Marshals are more precise, while the Grey Ghost is more of like a just spray and pray kind of weapon. It's kind of like you're using the KSG versus like the Spaz 12 or like the Haymaker or something like that. The KSG is going to be way more precise and accurate, well duh, because it uses slugs, but forget about that, just think about how you actually use the weapon. The KSG is going to have a lot more pinpoint accuracy, while like the Spaz 12 and the Haymaker are just going to be kind of going all over the place and hitting almost anything in front of you. So I think it really all comes down to what you want. If you have like a horde of zombies in front of you, you might want the 9mm. If you have like a couple zombies in front of you or like a boss zombie in front of you, you may want the Marshal 16s. I really all think it comes down to what you want. Like if these were assault rifles, I would definitely prefer the Marshal 16s, but since they actually shoot shotgun shells and not just regular bullets, it kind of comes down to personal preference and really what you want out of a shotgun. So I would say when it comes to accuracy, they're tied. Alright, and next up we're going to be taking a look at the reload speed, and I don't really think anything changes once you actually upgrade these things. It's kind of the same as the unupgraded versions. It really all comes down to human error. When I went frame by frame, it looked like the 9mm was going to get back to firing first, but the Marshal 16s actually do fire first. So it all really could come down to just how fast I was pulling that trigger. When the 9mm was actually done reloading, I could have been off the trigger, and that's maybe what would have made it stall for like half a second. So really when it comes to the fire rate with select fire weapons, it really all comes down to human error. So if you were to hold a gun to my head, I would pick the Marshal 16s, but in general, they were close enough. I'm gonna go and say that they're tied. Alright, and lastly before we actually get to both these weapons on round 50, I wanted to see how many pellets were actually coming out of each of these weapons. For the Marshal 16s, it's actually pretty easy. For each shot, you're going to get 4 pellets coming out, and if you shoot both shots at the same time, you're still only going to get 4. Even though you technically should have 8 roaming around, you're only going to have 4. And when it comes to the 9mm SAP, I think it was like 7 or 8, something like that. I really couldn't tell because like whenever I shot a wall, there was also like a black mist surrounding all the bullet holes. So it was really hard to tell how many pellets were actually coming out. But it does look like for each shot, about 7 or 8 are actually coming out. Alright, so with all those pointless and stupid tests over with, let's go ahead and take a look at both these weapons on round 50. Let's start with the Dual Wield Marshals first. So when I first used the Marshal 16s in Zetsubo Shima, I was pleasantly surprised. These weapons are very good and very powerful. Especially against the Thrashers, a couple shots and those things are immediately gone. Like once you do the Easter egg and you get like that long hallway next to the elevator done, all you really need is like the KT4, the Draken, and the Dual Wield Marshals, and you're going to be able to last there for a very long time. Use the KT4 for zombies, use the Draken if you absolutely need to, and use the Marshals for every Thrasher that pops up, and you're going to be set. Now on high rounds, the Marshals kind of drop off in effectiveness. Like on round 50, I was kind of struggling to get some kills, mainly because the slow fire rate and you have to reload after 3 shots. So getting kills against zombies wasn't really my main focus. I mainly just saved them for the boss zombie. But up until like I would say mid-30s, this weapon was kicking some serious ass and was a really good weapon. Honestly, the Dual Wield Marshals are probably one of my favorite weapons. If we could see these weapons return, or hell, even the Executioner return, but make that dual wield, I would be very happy because I do like this idea of having a shotgun pistol. It has all the pros of like raw power of a shotgun and also all the pros of the speed of a pistol, so I would definitely like to see the Dual Wield Marshals return at some point in time. So now let's go ahead and talk about the 9mm SAP. So when I first used these weapons in Denka's Shore, I was kind of unhappy because the rumor that I had heard about them was that they were basically like the Dual Wield Marshals. And that is very true once you upgrade it. So once I first used them, of course they're not going to be upgraded, and I was like, oh, these are dumb, this is just like a regular pistol. But I actually held on to them because I want to see what they were like upgraded, and I was incredibly pleased with what I got. These things were fucking amazing. To get to high rounds in the Denka's Shore, These weapons were my go-to weapons. This and the M1911 basically carried my ass to round 50. These things were taking out zombies, the Whistler fucking zombies, whatever the hell they're called, the explosion guys, the pest, and hell, they were even doing some pretty decent work against that spider zombie guy. These things were incredible, and I really don't think I could have gotten to round 50 without them. Now on round 50, these things are really good. The only problem is you kind of have to watch your ammo because you will go through ammo very quick because these things have a fast fire rate. These things don't have a fire rate limiter, so you can fire these things as fast as you want, so you will go through ammo incredibly quick. But you're also going to be killing zombies incredibly quick, so I guess it kind of evens out. So when it comes to high rounds, I would definitely rather have the 9mm SAP. I just feel like on round 50, they way outperformed the dual wield Marshals. But on early rounds, I'm thinking I would rather have the Marshals just because unupgraded wise, I feel like it's the better option. And against boss zombies, I still feel like the Marshals are going to be the better option. So on the low rounds, I'm going to stick with my Marshal 16s, but once you get up there, the 9mm SAP is definitely going to be the one for you. And really, this weapon is probably like my favorite thing out of the new map, not even going to lie. So that is going to be it for this video. I'm very curious to know what do you guys think. Let me know in the comments. And also real quick, shout out to my Patreon supporters. I love you guys and you guys are sexy as all hell. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It does mean a lot to me. If you guys are curious about being a Patreon supporter, go and check it out. Link will be right down there in the description. And also while you're down there, go and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Once I hit 5,000 followers on Twitter, I'll start doing some giveaways and stuff. So if you are not following me on Twitter or don't even have a Twitter, what the fuck are you doing? Go ahead and follow me on that. And lastly, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day and I will see you in the next video. Peace.